Hey, welcome to the Randy Karraker Show. This is Matthew Rocchio in for Brooke Grimsley, who's out on maternity leave. I'm Randy Karraker, and this is the Randy Karraker Show. Everything here at STL Sports Central is presented by DraftKings, where the crown is yours. Cardinals with a day off. Well, their offense has been off for 3 days, so that's a good thing. Swept out of Pittsburgh 5-0. We want you to join the chat. I'm going to give you my opinion here, and you might not like it because it's a little sunshine lollipops. But the Cardinals do go scoreless across the series. First time against the Pirates since October of '76, last 3 games of the season. And that team, by the way, had Ted Simmons and Gary Templeton and Lou Brock. That was a pretty good team in 1976. That's the team that got Red Schoendienst fired, by the way. They only won 72 games. Last 3 games of the year in Pittsburgh, they got shut out. 2 of them were complete games. I think Jim Rooker pitched one of the games. Candelaria pitched one of the games. I looked it up this morning. It was, and Pittsburgh was good and the Cardinals were not. So 1976, that's the last time that happened. But here's the thing. Cardinals lose 3 in a row, and yesterday they lose 5-0. They were missing their opening day corners, Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras, Lars Nootbaar, Jordan Walker, plus their DH/best hitter in Ivan Herrera.
Sounds like excuses.
So take out the Cubs, similar guys, okay? Take the Cubs left fielder out, Ian Happ, their leadoff hitter. Take their right fielder out, Kyle Tucker, their number 2 hitter. Take their DH out, Suzuki, who's their number 3 hitter. Take out their first baseman, Michael Busch, their number 6 hitter, and take out Matt Shaw, their third baseman and number 9 hitter. What do the Cubs have?
Well, Randy, if it's and buts, we're candies and nuts.
We'd all have a Merry Christmas?
My aunt would be my uncle.
Oh, okay. So you have the full expectation that the Cardinals are going to be able to build a roster similar to the Dodgers or the Yankees, where there's very little, if any, fall off if you lose your starting players.
Well, Randy, if they would just had spent in the minors like they should, the Memphis shuttle could be active, and instead Barrero's getting poached by other clubs.
Oh, no.
And now we don't have him, and that means there's just no depth on this squad.
No,
it's disappointing.
There is.
This could be Ben's, I think, already mad that we're talking Cardinals. He says, I'm making an executive decision. No Cards talk today. They're sad and depressing. They bring no joy. Let's talk all Blues. They bring joy and are actually doing things.
Well, we are going to get to the Blues in a moment, but I just want you to I want you to hear my excuses because, I'm trying to earn that check from Mr. DeWitt. And so that's what I'm going here.
Well, Jay Reinegade might need some help with that check. I just smashed my TV in front of 30 guests at my party because of the series. My wife just took our crying kids and said they'll all be spending the week at a hotel. The team has ruined my life. I can't handle this anymore. I am no longer a Cards fan.
Proud of you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Sounds more like Jay Renegade than Jay Reinegade.
Yeah. Congrats to Clayton Kershaw, says high definition on 3,000 strikeouts. Now he only needs 2,700 plus to catch Ryan. This is true. Here's the thing about Clayton Kershaw. Proud of him for getting to 3,000 strikeouts. It's a wonderful accomplishment. As a matter of fact, I think only the 5th left-hander in the modern era to accomplish 3,000 strikeouts. And the others were CC Sabathia, Steve Carlton, Randy Johnson, Whitey Ford, maybe? I'm not sure. No, it wasn't Whitey Ford. They've all been relatively recent since Steve Carlton. He might be the 4th. Anyway, I thought the way he went about it, stealing the spotlight from the Max Muncy injury, kind of Bush League, Clayton, if you ask me, but no big thing.
We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show, but I did think I don't want to be too hard on him or anything like that because he does have a World Series ring. He is one of the most successful regular season pitchers of all time. But another moment of his coming like that while he's down 4-2 to the White Sox was a little on the nose.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a little like, oh, that's not exactly the color you want on that moment, is it? Okay, then.
So, but in this era, in his career, Clayton Kershaw has an earned run average at home of 2.2.
Jesus.
You can make an argument, and I can make a very strong argument that he is one of the 5 best starters of all time.
And that's the thing, because his career ERA is like a 2.5, which means that his away average at worst is going to be like a 2.9, or ERA is going to be like a 2.9.
I got it for you right here.
What is his away? I'm guessing a 2.87.
2.79.
Holy
2.79 on the road, 2.27 at home.
A sub 2.8 ERA on the road is just bananas. I don't know which one's crazier. 2.2 at home's wild, I feel like 2.8 away is even crazier because you got all
Yeah.
the different ballparks you have to pitch in. You're an NL pitcher, which means every once in a while you're an NL West pitcher. He had to pitch in Colorado on the road, and he still has a sub 2.8. I mean, he also gets games in San Diego, which is helpful. But yeah, that's 2.8 away ERA is insane. That's
career
crazy.
2.51 earned run average, which is 46th all time, and I think in the modern era, it's in the top 20, and it's just he's outrageous. Anyway, okay, so the Cardinals swept. Let's see, will anyone ever catch Ryan's strikeouts? No. I believe that Clayton Kershaw is going to be the last guy to get to 3,000 Ks.
Yes, that was kind of my big question on,
and we'll do that later.
Clayton Kershaw, was whether or not he was going to be the last one.
Yeah, this could be Ben. It wasn't just a sweep; it was from the Pirates, and we couldn't score a single run. It was pathetic. Coming into that series, the Pirates had just outscored the Mets in a 3-game sweep, 30-4.
Their starter ERA over the Mets and Cardinals series is 0.58.
Yeah. So, and thank you, Ray Beersdorf. Cardinals are doing great. Just ran into some great pitching and couldn't get the clutch hits against the Pirates. Yes, you're right. Did you all see which 3 cities, this is Lex Luthor, are getting WNBA teams? I know that our friend Sophie Cunningham is not very happy about it. Cleveland, Detroit,
nor is she very well informed about it.
No. She said, St. Louis on the outside looking in. This surprised you? It's a coincidence they went with 3 cities with NBA teams. Well, Sophie wanted to go to good cities. She wanted to go to Miami. She wanted to go to climate,
She said she listed Miami, Nashville, and Kansas City, which is the most Mizzou coded thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Because Miami is where they want to go. They want to go all on trips together after they graduate. Nashville is where they all went on trips together while they were at Mizzou. And Kansas City is where they all went on trips together in both cases when it's just a quick weekend.
There you go. Okay.
So it's just that was the most. I'm from Columbia and I went to college at Mizzou coded thing I've ever heard in my entire life. It was extremely stereotypical and I appreciated it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Although
even more now.
Detroit's beautiful. And
during the WNBA season. And by the way, Detroit,
I meant the facilities.
Okay. Well, but no, Detroit's really, they're on the comeback trail. We could, in St. Louis, take a cue from what Detroit has done.
Yes, absolutely. That was going to be my point. Yeah, is absolutely Detroit's on the up and up, and the facility that they're going to get to play in, because I assume this will be a pretty close partnership with the Pistons, who have a close partnership with the Red Wings, and playing a beautiful stadium up there. That'll be I hope that's how that all works out, and I think it's smart, and I think it says a lot they're able to get $750 million from expansion fees in one fell swoop like that. That's a big deal for the WNBA.
I do want to give credit where credit is due. You said you wanted to hear about the Blues. Like at the end of the season, Doug Armstrong said, I want to find a 200-foot forward that plays offense. Well, he gets a guy that scored 25 goals last year, more goals than Bolduc did, right?
Yo.
25 and 21 for PYOOSS Suter.
Okay, so here's my thing. The hockey reference page first name is one syllable, so it's PYOOSS. I think it's PYOOSS. Okay, PYOOSS, and so, I think it might be Suter.
Okay. Power rankings: Bruce, Ryan, PYOOSS, and Brian, who is Suter. But
it is in fact Suter.
Suter. Okay, so for our purposes, let's call them all Suter, because people that weren't around for Brian Suter call him Suter anyway. So let's just for these purposes do a power ranking. You got Bruce, Brian, Ryan, and PYOOSS.
I always get them confused, but I know that two of the
Richie and Ronnie and Bass.
The hocky player is the hockey ones in St. Louis is pronounced
Suter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am so angry that his is pronounced differently than that. Oh God, this is going to screw me up so many times. Okay, so Suter, I know like 3 of them have like 500 career points. So it would be those 3 would be higher than PYOOSS, and I have a feeling PYOOSS would then slide in before the brothers after that. Because aren't there? Like
I don't think Richie and Ronnie got that.
I thought there were like 2 or 3 that had pretty big numbers.
Yeah, but not that played here.
No, okay. You're talking about Blue. You're talking about Blue. Okay,
St.
yes,
Louis.
You're right. Okay, yes.
St. Louis Sutters.
One of the Sutters that never played in St. Louis is one of the highest scoring, if not the highest scoring Sutter.
Yeah, Richie and Ronnie may not have had 200 points in their career.
So yeah, probably third from PYOOSS. Yeah.
So before Ryan.
Yeah.
And then obviously Brian second, Bruce first.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hate this so much.
Doug Armstrong said he wanted to find that player, and he did. This guy is an elite penalty killer. He scored 25 goals. He can play on the wing if need be. He can be a placeholder if you want to bring Dvorsky up and have him play center. I really like the move. I was shocked that the Blues signed him, to be honest with you, but I was pleasantly surprised that they were able to get him for just over $4 million AAV. And I think with the combination of he and Bjugstad, and then you add Mailloux to the mix defensively, I think the Blues have had a really good transaction season in the NHL. And obviously Mailloux is going to have to grow into being a great defenseman. And Army said, you got to be patient. It takes a couple of 100 games, and he's got 8 under his belt. But I really like what the Blues have done. And I kind of think if we take this team, and I know that a lot of us are missing Zach Bolduc, right? But if we take this team and stack it up to the team that the last game they played against, well, let's say the last game before Dylan Holloway was hurt. Okay. So we'll take this team with a healthy Dylan Holloway, last year's team before Holloway was hurt. I think this team's better.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll with you on that one. Obviously, solidifying everything in the defensive positioning. Justin Falk, you'd assume he'd be better than he was last year. That might be just a natural growth. The fact that you'd expect guys like the fact that it's a young team, you can expect a little growth in some of these players. That I think that's fair, and so that's part of it. And just to your point, they've solidified the spine of the team, and something you were talking about yesterday, they've push the ability to play with some grit and with some physicality. And I think that's a big thing. Chad Harrington here on the chat. Just imagine if Bolduc was on that third line, then you have 3 great scoring lines, and you could argue 4 good lines. Instead, you have a hole on the wing and a defensive liability on defense. I'm going to need you to describe both the hole on the wing and who you're referring to as a liability on defense.
I think he's talking about the Bolduc trade specifically. I would guess that he's talking about Mailloux being a liability.
I wouldn't say
you don't get that big right-handed defenseman unless you give up Bolduc. And here's the thing: right now on your top line, nominal top line, you've got Buchnevich and probably Snuggerud, right? And then your second line, you've got Kyrou and Holloway. And then on your third line, you've got Jake Neighbors, and you can put Bjugstad in there if you want. You can put Suter/Suter in there. You could move Nathan Walker up. You can. You've got Matthew Joseph still there. There are a lot of different options. You don't need a 30-goal scorer on your right wing on the third line, and that's why I think the team is better. And I think this third line. One of my problems with last year's team was that I thought the third line was closer to a good team's fourth line. But now you start with Neighbors and Suter, and I think that's a legit third line to start with.
There's with the acquisition of Suter, you can't argue that they're not a better defensive team with the forwards. I mean, he is a defensive maestro. That is like literally the expectation from Vancouver fans is that he's not a 25 goal scorer, and that's probably going to be his career high for the most part. But everything they all agree on, that the numbers tell us, and that is a consistent part about his game, is that Suter's a defensive master. And a great penalty killer as well. And so I don't see them losing anything on the defensive part of the game. And yeah, they might have lost some defense on the wing, but I don't know if you were talking about just losing depth on the wing and then defense in another spot. I'm not sure, but I mean, they just made themselves a better defensive team from the forward group. And with the way that Army is talking about Mailloux, I'm ready to be pretty pumped about that as well. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped with the moves right now. And I don't know if they could have gone much better for the Blues.
I had a discussion last night. Somebody was not happy with the trade on Facebook Messenger, and I closed the conversation by saying, I have a lot more confidence in Doug Armstrong's ability to evaluate hockey players than mine.
That's also something we also need to do, I think. Fans, it's understandable to get angry, and if there's a lot of mistakes, you can lose confidence. But I do think you need to go through life giving the benefit of the doubt to the experts. Question them here and there, but more often than not, they have a lot of more information at their fingertips, and they're spending a lot more time breaking it down than you are. And that's just kind of the fact of the matter.
Yeah. Hey, we want you to know what's going on with our friends at DraftKings Pick 6, where the crown is yours, and you got the John Deere Classic. Our buddy Jay Delsing always loved the John Deere Classic, yes. And he had a chance to win it. So I'm going to go with the Worldwide Technologies Ben Griffin to have less than 5.5 birdies today. So that's going to be one of my picks. And then I'm going to do a little baseball. Is that okay? Can I play baseball on DraftKings?
I think you can.
Pick 6?
Why not?
So I am going to go with baseball. And hold on. I have a great one for you. So Ben Griffin, less than 5.5 birdies. I think that's fair. James Wood, Washington Nationals, going against Detroit today and ends. I'm going to go with him to have 2 or more hits plus runs plus RBIs. 1.5 is the over-under. So I'm going to go with James Wood over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs, and then Ben Griffin to have less than 5.5 birdies. And I'm going with the worldwide technology guy. You can play this. All you need to do is download the DraftKings Pick 6 app. It's a lot of fun. Use that promo code right there, STL Sports. And when you do, if you're a new customer and you play just $5, you'll get $50 in bonus picks, 10 extra picks to keep the action going. It's easy to start, fun to follow, and gives you a whole new way to stay connected to the game. Download that DraftKings Pick 6 app today and use the code STL Sports when you sign up. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Okay, now I can talk again. Okay. So our buddy Chris Gardner, you may know him. He's known as the Doorman. Back at 101 ESPN, he was the very first producer of the Fast Lane. Very first. Good guy, Lindenwood guy. We like him a lot. But one of his favorite people in the whole wide world is the Red Panda. And the Red Panda is exceedingly entertaining. If you've seen her at halftime of a Billikens game, she rides around in a very tall unicycle and then is able to stack bowls on her head. Just
by throwing them from her foot.
That's
a crucial factor of it all.
And so she fell and broke her wrist at halftime of the WNBA Commissioner's Cup the other night in Minnesota. So prayers up to the Red Panda. She is so entertaining and unbelievable at what she does. Have you ever thought about this? You've seen the Red Panda.
Oh, yeah. Right? No, yeah. That's why. Oh,
so
God, yeah.
How does somebody practice that?
I have no idea. I've seen her do interviews before, and she's kind of answered how she got good at it and what was why a unicycle, why the bowls, why tossing it, why put it all together into one thing. And I honestly do not remember her answers. If I'm just being honest with you right now.
Yeah. Well, she's very entertaining. Samuel Howe, think they'll send her down to rehab at Six Flags? I would think that would be a possibility.
She's going to be ready to go for the NBA season is what the report is right now. So she's going to have to rehab that broken wrist. And yeah, she's going to be ready for the NBA season, which is fantastic news because she kills it.
Not literally, but figuratively. So I think that we need more of the entertainment of somebody like Red Panda in our world. I think we're going to miss her. Chad Harrington, it was you. We were talking about about the trade last night on the Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, people obviously we haven't touched on it very much, but people obviously very angry about the Cardinals. A bad run, like I said, just a lot of bad mistakes. No clutch hitting at all.
No clutch hitting. No.
So they go up. They go up in Chicago. The injuries are still persisting. Do we know if Wilson Contreras is going to be available tomorrow afternoon?
He's planning to, apparently.
Okay, so that changes thing. That gets him back. I think Nolan Arenado is still a question. Mm-hmm. Jordan
Index
Walker is now rehabbing again down at AA. What do you see? Do you have any expectations going into tomorrow as we are kind of computing a terrible series on an off day, just the worst day for an off day?
I think the Cardinals will be able to compete with the Cubs, and I did not think the Cardinals would be here. If you thought they would be 47-41 heading into the 4th of July weekend, congratulations to you, because you were right and I was wrong. I thought they'd be right around a 500 team, and I still think that they can compete. There are ebbs and flows with every major league season, and especially when you have a really young team that is giving young players runway. It's just, we can go back to this old adage that you're going to win 60 and lose 60, and it's what you do with the other 42 that count. But with a team like this, Matthew, they are unpredictable. They're very young, they're very inexperienced, and there are very few major league teams with the level of inexperience that the Cardinals have that go on a run. the 1982 Cardinals were not. They were young, but they were experienced. Ozzie had played a lot. Hendrick had played a lot. Oberkfell had played a lot. Hernandez had played a lot. Forsch, Andujar. That team never lost more than 3 games in a row. They had 8 3-game losing streaks in 1982. It's hard to be that consistent. And I think it's more difficult now. I think baseball is so hard to read, going back to the 2007 Rockies when they won something like 23 out of 24 down the stretch.
Yeah.
When you look at the 2011 Cardinals and what they did, it's almost impossible to read the personality of a team until you pass the trade deadline.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that this team is a finished product. I think there is a need for this team to bake before we determine whether or not they suck.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And also I think to your point, they are they're young, but they're also just their hitting is always going to be at the risk of being inconsistent because they don't have the power to lean back on. So maybe take away from the fact that, yeah, the offense has been struggling lately, but for the most part, the pitching is settled down. Sonny Gray doesn't, he obviously gives up those 3 earned runs in the 7th inning, but I mean, he was cruising through the first 6 until that happens. Some positivity there with what we've seen from Sonny Gray. We were talking about Andre Palante earlier this week. Obviously, Matthew Liberatore. I'm not sure there's a lot of Cardinals fans who aren't extremely positive about Matthew Liberatore right now. And the bullpen, other than a little slip up by Matone, as I'm on this show and I need to pronounce it that way.
Phil Matone.
That definitely doesn't screw me up when I try to go other places and pronounce it correctly. It's the pitching staff gives me a lot of positivity because that there's no reason that shouldn't be able to show some consistency no matter what. I understand why the offense bottoms out and is so feast for famine at times. And there's a logical reason for that. I don't know if there's a way to fix that other than acquiring a big bat, which isn't going to happen. But the consistency from the pitching staff is really what I want to focus more in on. And for the most part, other than the parts that we knew were going to be the weak points, it's been there.
Who's the best team in baseball?
The Dodgers.
Dodgers have had 3 instances where they've lost 4 out of 5 this year. Another instance where they've lost 3 out of 4. And then they've been very hot lately. But still, 3 4 out of 5s and 3 out of 4 for the team with the best record in baseball and that we all agree is the best team in baseball. Everybody's inconsistent, even the best team.
Yeah, and I don't want to. And listen, I know people will criticize comments like this and say, well, I guess these games don't matter like games in August do. No, they matter. It's just at no point is freaking out over 3 games in a baseball season ever the right or the smart thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah. But can I make another point, by the way? I asked Greg Amsinger this morning on the TV show if he thinks the Pirates are for real. They're 26-24 under Don Kelly. Now, after he took over as manager, they were 12-26 when he took over. And I said, is this real or mirage? And Greg thinks that the Pirates are for real. He likes their pitching. Their offense has turned around, obviously, since he got there. They're beating up on good teams. So I think when we get to the end of the season, losing 3 in a row, now you never like to get shut out 3 times in a row, but I think getting swept by the Pirates might not look as bad as it does now. If you look big picture at what their record is and what the Cardinals' record is, I think the Pirates are going to wind up being pretty good.
Carl says, yeah, but the difference, Randy, those teams are scoring runs. The Cardinals are not when they're losing. They aren't even competing in those series when they're losing.
Well, but when they're winning, they're scoring a bunch, right? So
he also says
you can pick out the losing. I mean, we can all pick and choose. And I never thought that this was going to be a top 10 offense in the league anyway. But the fact of the matter is that, as we said earlier, this team is still a work in progress. This is not a finished product. And especially when you're missing as many hitters as the Cardinals are, including their best hitter, I think it's a lot more difficult to be a great team if you're missing your best hitter.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder when you don't have Ivan Herrera. He also says, Carl, our outfield production is bottom of the league, by the way. And I think we talked about why that's the case. When Lars Nootbaar goes on a bad stretch, when Victor Scott III or second is never going to be a big bat, and then you have Jordan Walker doing what he was doing there for the majority of the season until Alec Burleson took over the last month. That does not surprise me, does not shock me, and does not worry me, honestly.
The Cardinals are averaging 4.58 runs a game. The Phillies are averaging 4.59. Of course, they've been missing Harper. The average in Major League Baseball is 4.37. So the Cardinals a little bit above average in runs per game in MLB. So I'm happy that they're average. And the one thing about this group is that they are on an upward trajectory. I think that we can see Mason Wynn becoming a better offensive player. I think that we can see Donovan becoming a better offensive player. I think certainly Scott will become a better offensive player. I think they'll be better when they get Herrera back in the lineup. You'd hope that Nootbaar will improve. Burleson seems to be on an upward swing. So I think in 2 years, when this team's ready to win, I think that these will be marinated hitters and they'll be a lot better. Not all of them, but I think many of them will be better than they are now. And by the way, let's throw Nolan Gorman in that mix too.
So Randy is okay with losing. And P.S. I don't give a damn about the Dodgers. That's from Aaron Dobson.
Aaron Dobson, we appreciate it. And in this, yeah, I'm fine with losing because I'm rational. It is what it is. This is not a great team. Even if this team makes the playoffs, they're not winning the World Series. Compare, if you don't care about the Dodgers, just compare the Cardinals' talent level, established talent level, to the Dodgers. Or tell me if you think that the Cardinals have a hitter in his prime like Kyle Tucker or like Pete Crow Armstrong, who has kind of come into his own this year. Compare the Cardinals. You might not care about it, but compare the Cardinals to the Yankees and tell me where you see the Cardinals' Aaron Judge. And that's unfortunately what you have to live up to. And I said before the season, I thought the Cardinals would be between 71 and 83 wins. I'm pleasantly surprised, actually, with where they are.
Yeah, but you should be expecting more. Come on, Randy. Jeez.
Well,
I think the bigger thing is that, like, it's like, and listen, Aaron, I understand that you're always going to be bothered by losses, and listen, we'll always be a place where you can vent those frustrations. But you got to understand that I can't get mad. I can't get mad or frustrated about things I can't control is one thing. So like, I'm not going to be like mad that the Cardinals are losing because I don't have a hand in it and I don't control it. And my reaction to it won't change or affect the result today, tomorrow, or ever. I'm going to put my energies into a lot of different things to bring to this show, some analysis and reaction, but it's never going to get to that point because I can only really get to that point anymore in my life for things that I have some control over. And that's my thing with sports. I enjoy them partially because I don't have any control over them.
But I do. I appreciate, and St. Louis is different than pretty much any other town in that we treat all 162 games like most teams treat an NFL or a college football season. We put so much emotion into every single game, and I think it's fantastic. But I think also, while you put emotion into the games, there's got to be a level of rationality because number one, there's only one team that wins the World Series every year. And number two, the reality of the situation is we are a mid-market team that spends like a mid-market team, and they're trying to win the only way that mid-market teams can win now.
God bless you, Aaron. I hope your day gets a little bit better with the Cardinals win and with the Cardinals win tomorrow.
I understand. Aaron, put that up. There we go.
It's up
there we go.
Worry.
Yeah.
That's why I'm laughing.
We're trying to hold. Well, he's trying to hold the DeWitts accountable.
I'm trying to hold in my laughter.
Many people say that I am on the payroll of the Cardinals. I'm waiting for the check. I'm happy to be on the payroll, but I'm waiting for the check. But yeah, we are. We're
Mini in this town soft.
I cannot, like, if you put me and Jay Glazer in a gym, Jay Glazer is going to be able. I'm weak compared to him. All right, he's going to be able to probably.
Yeah, but you could like just bop him on the head like a Goomba and a coin will pop out of his ass. He'll be fine.
But who else? Like, what if? And you weigh in here. Me and Francesa in a boxing ring.
I mean, I'd pay to watch.
Ring.
I'd pay to watch that. Not going to go well for you, probably Howard Eskin.
Okay. Trying to think. Now, me and DeMarco Farr is doing mornings on ESPN Radio in LA.
Jim Rome's spry.
Yeah. They're probably
Jim Rome's spry.
Compared to them, I'm weak.
Yeah, like halfway through the fight, Rome's going to be like, Chris Everett hits harder than that.
Yeah. Jay Renegade, if the Cards aren't winning, I have nothing. Proud of you. I
just think the idea that the media being harsher on the players or somebody is actually going to affect how they play. And I think you're coming from a completely facile and ridiculous premise if you think us being more critical is going to matter when all we're telling you is here's the reality of the situation, deal with it. I'm trying to be more like a therapist in this situation, and I understand it's hard sometimes to hear the truth.
Now, I wish that I could tell you, again, trying to be rational here, that the DeWitts don't care. I think it's very difficult for somebody to say all the DeWitts care about is money and making money at Ballpark Village, but they don't care about their baseball team. Because how does Ballpark Village get traffic? By having baseball people.
Yeah.
When do baseball people go to the games? When the team is good. So I'm trying to rationalize here. Okay, the DeWitts don't care about winning, but they do care about making money. How does that happen? How do you make money if you don't have a good product? I mean, aren't we seeing that the result of that now, that people aren't going to the games and ergo aren't going to Ballpark Village either? Did you like my use of ergo, by the way? I in my opinion, it can't be both. Either you don't care about winning and therefore don't care about money, or you care about money and then you have to try to win.
I think there's probably a little bit of 80-20 on that one is how I think there maybe is a little bit of both, maybe trickling in and out, but did we not call this series pathetic? I thought that was his problem.
I think by the definition of pathetic, you could say that.
Yeah, I think so.
But I think also, again, give me a team in the league in Major League Baseball that could lose both corner outfielders, both corner infielders, DH, and would be fine. Give me that team.
The Dodgers. I just assume because they always have 90 guys.
You've lost Freeman and Muncy.
No, they're not going to be able to do much anymore. Never mind.
Okay.
It's not like their pitching staff.
Shohei Ohtani.
No, it's not like their pitching staff. Never mind.
Okay.
It's probably going to be bad.
Yeah. And then now the outfield, it's Conforto and I think Teoscar Hernandez left and right. So that's not a big deal right now. But I would suggest, and they might lose Muncy for a while, and there's already speculation that they might come after Nolan Arenado. But if they lose Muncy, Freeman, and Ohtani, I think that they've got some problems there.
Yeah, Carl, let's be fair. Don't pretend DeWitt isn't putting the most minimal of efforts to make that money. Here's my thing. I'm not going to pretend, but I also need you to not pretend like you have any factual basis for that statement. So if you do have any factual basis for that statement, please present it in the chat. But let's both not pretend here. And I don't think there's any actual proof you have to make that claim other than some subjective things.
I need Keith Adams says I need to talk to you. Randy, you need to talk to him about that thumbnail they have of you looking like a pissed of Chevy Chase.
Pissed off Chevy Chase.
Oh, okay. Pissed. Okay,
you guys are going to get a little behind the scenes into today. I don't choose the thumbnails on this show.
Okay.
That is not one of my jobs. All the stuff you see, all the graphics and stuff you see on the screen, that's on me. You can get me. Sometimes if you look really eagle-eyed and on the left side of the screen, you'll catch a spelling mistake, or I'll miss an S or something like that, or I'll drop an apostrophe when it should be there. But those ones I don't pick. I don't think that's, I mean, I wouldn't say pissed off Chevy Chase unless we're
curious.
Yeah, I see what their point is. I think it's a good thumbnail though. The cards were swept. Is that Andre Palante? In 53?
Yes, it is.
I mean, he looks exasperated. He had a pretty good start though, so I mean,
yeah.
But I don't think there's any problem with the thumbnail. Yeah, that's not my fault. We'll blame the people who is though. Sure. The last big ticket item he bought for the Cardinals was Matt Holliday. God, how I didn't realize. You know what? The fact that they got an MVP and a Platinum Glove winner, and they got those guys on the cheap. It's pretty impressive. I didn't realize that Goldschmidt and Arenado had such small contracts. Usually, you don't get future Hall of Famers for pennies on the dollar like that. Not just in the trade, but also in the contract. I didn't know they pulled that off.
Yeah, so, interesting. Hey, if you are out and about today, head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill, because today, Thursday, is. Well, it's one of two things. Number one, it's your last chance to have Fenton Bar and Grill because they're closed on the 4th and the 5th. So you need to get over there and have some trash swings. But today's also Gumbo Day. Thursday's Gumbo Day at the Fenton Bar and Grill. It's the greatest gumbo that you will ever have. Fenton Bar and Grill is just a couple of minutes away from the soccer park in Fenton. And not only do they have just spectacular trashed wings and wonderful gumbo, and you see the delicious toasted rav there, but they have a fantastic menu of burgers and all kinds of great wraps and salads. So you'll really enjoy it. They have a great patio, ceiling fans to keep everything cool. You'll have a great time at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Say hi to Megan, say hi to Jamie. Their servers are wonderful, great people. And when you go into the Fenton Bar and Grill, I was there a couple of days ago and just talking sports with some of the guys. Dave was there. Eddie was there. We were talking sports and having a great time and eating some great food. So head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill, talk to your friends, make new friends, and have a great sports time. Fenton Bar and Grill. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com and tell them Randy sent you. And
Samuel said he's already eaten, so we are allowed to talk about how good the buffalo chicken wrap is in this read.
The buffalo chicken wrap is sensational.
There it is.
Oh, and by the way, the other day I had the trashed chicken sandwich.
Oh God.
That is absolutely fantastic.
I need to eat.
We have a truncated show today. We did want to give you some quality content, and we hope we did. Let's do a wrap up here on our final minute, though, Matthew, with Kershaw, 20th and last pitcher to get 3,000 strikeouts.
Yeah, I think it's got to be.
Here's my numbers for you. 36-year-old Chris Sale is closest to Kershaw. He has 25-28. I think it's safe to say that he's not going to get 470 more strikeouts in the next few years.
That'd be tricky.
Yeah, he's
he'll get close.
Yeah, he's pretty good. 32-year-old Aaron Nola, who has had one season with as many as 234 strikeouts. He had 235 in 2022. We need to average 234 for the next 5 years to get to 3,000. Kershaw's 37. I'm using 37 as a benchmark here. The under 30 pitcher with the most strikeouts is 29-year-old Dylan Cease. He has 1,137. If Cease pitches for 8 more years, gets to age 37, he'd have to average 233 a year to get to 3,000. Cease's career high is 227. And by the way, these guys aren't pitching enough innings to strike out this many people.
Yeah, that's insane. I can't believe it's that. Oh my God, that is such a large, stark difference. That's insane to me. Wow.
Yeah. So it's
he's going to be the last one. There's no way it's happening.
Yeah, he
after
is.
That. Can I get one little quick question for you? Because I pulled something up because I was fascinated by this. I do have a typo on this, but it's okay. I'm going to put it up anyway.
Like typos.
So we got to go back to 2008. On here it says 2007, but it's actually 2008. Last night, Clayton Kershaw threw his 3,000th strikeout. Way back in 2008 and 2007, my apologies, he threw his first against the Cardinals. So I'm going to call this this quick Megamind minigame contextual history. So the first ever strikeout in Clayton Kershaw's career. Here is that first inning. Brian Barton was batting second for the Cardinals, and he walked after a strikeout looking. Pujols then had the first run ever against Clayton Kershaw with an RBI double to score Brian Barton. So my question to you, Randy, is who is the first player and the Cardinal batter that day to ever strike out against Clayton Kershaw in his career?
It was Skip Schumacher.
It was 100% Skip Schumacher, and that's why I call it contextual history, because I was like, as soon as he realizes it's the first inning and it's the guy 2 spots before Albert Pujols and it's 2008, he's going to lock in and know exactly who this is. Was it the fact that it was the leadoff hitter that gave it to you, or did you just
I read
know
an article about it.
Son of a...
Bob Nightingale wrote about it in USA Today. But I would have remembered that.
I've been angry at Bob Nightingale before, and here I am again.
So he always gets mad at Tim Bontemps, too. So.
I was just thinking about that the other day.
But here's one other thing about Kershaw. Joe Torre, the manager, when Kershaw makes his first major league start. Joe Torre, the manager, when Mariano Rivera makes his first major league relief appearance. Joe Torre had a pretty substantial impact on this sport, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
So you guys all have a great 4th of July. Great job, Matthew. This was fun.
Great job, Randy.
Thank you for being with us. I am out on Monday, back with us on Tuesday. Thanks to Wilson. Thanks to you. And have a wonderful 4th of July. And tune into everything, all the post-game shows here on STL Sports Central with the Card Central 365. And have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.